Hello, Steve White, Triple 89 for Steve Arts 89, Star Trek's Gatekeeper. Now, I do apologise for my computer in the background making noise, but I'm always working, I can't do anything about it. Now, as we all know, certain members of the media have been given access to the first 5 episodes of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Now, I wasn't really expecting to do a video on it because I haven't seen them all myself, but although they're all supposed to just do spoiler-free reviews and articles, some people have done full spoiler articles. I've seen a couple, and one video that I just saw from the podcast goes through everything. Now, I've sort of heard and seen a few things myself. I have people who send me stuff. I haven't seen any full episodes, but I did want to do a video on it, and it's curious, a couple of the rumours contradict each other, but I thought I'd just tell them both and we'll just have fun seeing which turns out to be true. Now, about the series as a whole, they said that it's good. One of the criticisms is that it's basically just copying the Orville, and I don't think that's true. I think that's just some haters sort of saying that. But it does sort of make a conscious attempt to throw back to the sort of fun, optimistic, positive, sort of more original series sort of style, and it's more of a throwback to the original series in Next Gen. Now, the problem is it's written by the same people, and it has some of the same flaws in the storytelling, which is one of the things people were saying was even if they're trying to do a different type of series and give us something different, it's still the same people doing it, so how good can it be? And so apparently the melodrama, the bad logic, the sketchy plotting, the whole tell not show issues, they're all still there. But there is a different intention, a different energy, and they do a better job of establishing the settings and the characters, the geography of the ship. They have character logs, and we basically find that each character has their own secret, and they're all more developed. And a lot of the complaints for Picard and Discovery have sort of been addressed. So they've done their homework, and this is probably, from what I'm hearing, the best Star Trek show we have seen of this era and will see for a while. So I'm feeling fairly optimistic about it, but, mostly because the things I thought would be the flaws are, and. So the first episode is called Strange New Worlds, and basically Una goes missing on a spy mission, and Pike, who has basically gone into hiding after season 2 of Discovery, is pulled back by Captain April, who shows up in a shuttlecraft on his ranch to bring him back to rescue Una, basically. So I'm kind of glad they had a real reason to bring him back, and that's why he kind of doesn't want to be there, because he's not ready yet. He hasn't dealt with his issues from the second season. Now, one of the issues that I had with the CGI is when you look at season 2 of Discovery, the Enterprise and the space dock looks pretty good. When you look at it here in the scene that you have, it looks awful. The texture looks wrong. It looks like sort of flat, fake, like metal, and the lighting. It's just the lack of detail. It just doesn't look good. It seems to be a drop in quality and probably a drop in budget between season 2 of Discovery and this. But other scenes look good, so I'm not sure if it's inconsistency, if it's this scene they dropped the ball with or not. But doesn't look good. Now, there's not much more to say about that one. Okay, so season 2, Children of the Comet. Now, this is kind of interesting. It's kind of been compared to For the World is Hollow and I've Touched the Sky. I think that's what they're referring to. Basically, there's a comet which is it's got a machine inside it. And there are people who worship it like a god, a religious tribe, and Pike has to deal with them because he knows, obviously, it's a machine. It's just a comet with a machine in it, and it's basically heading towards a populated planet, and it's going to kill millions of people. So they can't just, how do they deal with these people's religious beliefs versus reality and what they have to deal with saving lives? So that's your sort of Star Trek sort of story, which is good. And Spock has a hero moment, but I still don't know what it is. Now, the second episode is, I forgot to mention, Uhura gets a moment in this because she is a cadet and she has to go on the mission, and it's one of her first missions and so forth. We've seen a bit of that in the trailer. So that's this episode. Now, episode 3, Ghosts of Elia, I think it's called. The crew gets sick, and of course Mbenga gets a lot of focus because he has to cure them. They find the cause is a recent trip to a planet with genetically engineered beings. The crew is sort of staring at bright lights, and Una is not immune, which sort of supports a rumor about her that we're hearing as her being different and how, but that's unclear, and it's mainly just Mbenga getting a sort of moment to shine. Now the fourth episode, it's called Memento Mori, Morai, is more about Lian Noonien Singh, and we actually see the Gorn in this episode. So she's had experience with the Gorn. The Gorn attacks the Enterprise, and she sort of gets a lot of attention because she has knowledge. Because I'm guessing Pike hasn't dealt with the Gorn because the Gorn in Kirk's era hadn't really been dealt with by the Federation directly, I don't think. Now we see the crew pairing off and working sort of Mission Impossible style, and you have Uhura with Hammer, and his hands are injured, so she has to be his hands, and seeing the crew work together, and that element of Star Trek and Star Trek storytelling where it's about people working together, using their diversity to resolve problems. That's sort of a big part of the original Star Trek, which is something that we sort of lost in Discovery, where I'm not going to go into Discovery, but yeah. It'd be interesting to see the Gorn, because we saw the Gorn in Enterprise, and they kept most of everything in Through Darkly was very canon, the Enterprise, the ship, everything. But the Gorn didn't really look like the Gorn, and it was CGI, and I'm wondering if they're going to do a more accurate CGI Gorn, but still make it very CGI, and it'll be curious to see what it looks like, because I haven't seen it yet. Now, the last episode is called Spock Amok. Now, I thought the series was going to start off with Spock being back on Vulcan, and he is also sort of having to be brought back, kind of like Spock in Star Trek The Motion Picture. That he was dealing with his the challenge to his betrothment, and what's his betrothed name? I've totally forgotten. T'Pring, I think. And we see that Vulcans can mate outside of Ponfar, but we already knew that. So this is the episode where they're basically docked at a space station, and everyone's doing separate things. Pike is working on, I think, first contact with a race that's very difficult. Spock is dealing with his, marital problems back home. And I really thought that was going to be where Spock was at the start of the series, and then it's actually in the fifth episode. And I don't know if I mentioned this or not, because I did this video before and it was out of focus, and my battery ran out before the end, so I had to start again. I don't know if I mentioned this in the other video, if I just mentioned it earlier, but we're dealing with an emotional Spock because they're counting the cage as canon, which it is. But Spock being emotional wasn't really canon. It was one of the things that they just hadn't sorted out in the first episode, and it took until the second episode. And apparently, this is an episode where we see that Una and Lan are becoming friends, and they share a secret together. And there's two versions of this secret. And I guess the Spock thing I was going into was Spock sort of was learning from Una how to be more mechanical, more robotic, because the suggestion seems to be that after having tried to be Vulcan on Vulcan and being rejected and bullied, he went to Starfleet and he was trying to embrace his human side. Whereas in the original series, we saw him being very much a Vulcan, denying his human side. And in Q&A, we saw that Spock was very emotional, and Una actually told him, people are going to expect you to be a Vulcan, you better act like one. So he sort of was changing his behaviour from her advice. So we're probably going to see more of that in this. But the interesting rumours about Una is, one is that she's basically artificial, that she comes from a planet of artificial beings, and that she's actually, that's why she's not particularly human, because she's very mechanical, because she's a machine. Now, that doesn't totally work with the other rumour that I've heard, is in that I've heard that Ortega comes out, that she's gay and she comes out, and why there'd be closets in the 21st century, I don't know. There wouldn't be any, so that doesn't make any sense. It's kind of like in Discovery, where they had to explain pronouns to someone in the 32nd century, which we won't even be doing that in 10 years, so that was ridiculous. So the idea of someone being in the closet and having to come out seems really ridiculous in the 21st century. But and also, and the rumor is that La'an and Una are both gay. Well, she can't be gay if she's a machine. So those are two rumours that contradict each other, and I'll be curious to see which one it actually is, because I don't know which one it is. But yeah, so Una has a big secret that comes out in the third episode, and apparently La'an has one in the fifth episode, which comes out. And like I said, apparently all the characters have secrets. So that'll be interesting to a degree. But once you learn their secret, I mean, it's kind of like Lost, where it's like the mystery box. What's in the mystery box? Oh, nothing interesting. So it's interesting until you find out what's in there. So I'm a bit worried that they're going to build these characters' mysteries up, and then that's sort of like a cheap sort of trick where you can get people interested in the moment, but then once you know it, you can never go back to that sort of interest and excitement once you know what it is. Kind of like The Talented Mr. Ripley. First time I saw that, it was amazing, and then once you know the end and the secret, you can never watch the episode again because that tension is just gone, because it just doesn't exist because you know. So I'm a bit worried about them thinking very short term with the series and how to sort of get people in and get them excited, and not thinking in terms of long-term character development, long-term, repeating the episodes, being able to review them again, viewability, So yeah, I found all that interesting. I was surprised that certain people have ignored the sort of, they would have signed some of an agreement, I guess, if they were allowed to see the 5 episodes, that they wouldn't actually let out any spoilers, and some people have. I mean, I am too, but I'm getting them mostly secondhand. I've only sort of heard a few things firsthand, only seen a few tiny little things. So I'm kind of fascinated by it all as well. But we're only a day or so away from the first episode. I'm not sure when we're getting it in Australia. I think Paramount Plus will probably give it to us on Friday, because America gets it Thursday. But because of the time difference, our Friday, whatever. So we'll see. And I'm feeling optimistic that this will be a good show, but it's still going to have the same flaws that Discovery and Picard had with the writing and so forth. So there will be problems, but as long as the overall point of the show and tone of the show is right, I can get past the little things. A lot of people focus on little things just to attack it because they actually have issues with the diversity or representation, stuff like that, and they just pick on little things like the editing or whatever just because they can't say what they really have an issue with. I don't have those issues with the show, so those other things just seem a bit little. So if we can get a general sort of good tone and so forth, I think I can look past the smaller issues. But we'll see. We're a couple of days away from the first episode. I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of all those details and all that information, and what you think of people, spoiling when they weren't supposed to. Because I'm wondering, are these people going to get invited to another premiere or get more access if they, sort of betrayed that trust and let out more than they were supposed to? But I'm kind of glad they did, because I got something to talk about, and I kind of wanted to know more about the show going in. I don't want to get my hopes up and then be disappointed, so I'm glad I sort of know more, so it's easier to prepare. So I'm not going to have the sort of problem I had with Discovery and Picard, where I was expecting a lot and was really disappointed. I feel like I kind of know what we're getting with this. But yep, I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of it all. Yep, thanks. Bye.